What techniques can we adopt in order to scale rapidly whilst keeping security, elasticity, and cost at the forefront?
Well, funny you should say that. Right. So it follows on from quite a lot of the themes here. Hopefully everybody can see the my really bad sort of impression of Tony Hart. Chris mentioned earlier on about going virtual whiteboards. I decided to get an £8 webcam, some gaffer tape and a tripod, and it works like an absolute treat because at the end of the day, I'm a techie and I need to draw. So some of the themes that have been around here is that every single person we've mentioned is about cloud and moving into cloud. And Chris mentioned earlier, initially about sort of hybrid connectivity. Obviously, we talked about 365 and about Danny with AWS. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a couple of things about, number one, connectivity to sort of future proofing, because at the end of the day, we all know that cloud in some way, shape or form is going to be probably relevant to your organization. Now, 3 years ago, everyone would have said cloud, cloud, cloud for absolutely everything. I think we're now realizing in some areas that cost model, that governance model, and that mainly around the TCO is not quite there for everything. And there's quite a lot of people still heavily invested in their existing data centers for whatever reason, compliance, so they're just sweating an asset. So there will be hybridization from a network connectivity perspective moving forward. So what I'm going to just draw here is how we as Cloud Gateway, we've built a hybrid cloud connectivity and security fabric where you can just basically plug and play everything with a big security wrap around it at a network level, and how we help organizations to augment. So you're going to get a twofer. You're going to get how to connect and the things that you can actually do from a scalability perspective. So Danny mentioned it actually previously. So say, for example, you've got your enterprise down here. It could be data centers. You could have a WAN in there, and you've got all your sites hanging off there. You may start to want to do some other stuff in a cloud service provider. It could be AWS or anything, AWS, Microsoft, Google, Alibaba, you name it, they're out there. So there's a few ways that you can sort of connect there. I'll sort of overlay some of the stages that you could do, because you can start to do this now. When COVID hit, and quite rightly, as Danny said, is that a lot of people push people to work from home. They didn't have the VPN licenses, the remote access services on the desktops. The VPN concentrators or the hardware in the data centers weren't catered to run at 100% concurrency for all users. And you're obviously, more often than not, you're using your internet egress to come into your estate. So you're swamping your network. What we tried to do is do this expansion and future-proof really, really quickly, without putting any sort of more impact on your existing data center. So technique number one, if you desperately needed access to stuff in the cloud and you want to augment your estate, there's a few ways. Number one is very easy, and all the cloud providers have made it very, very easy for you to do. This is the quickest way. It's the cheapest way, but it's very tactical and not very strategic. So you could have all your sites and your users hanging off your WAN. You've got a data center that's connected to the internet, and you go to, I'll just go AWS for this point. You can spin up, get your credit card out if you really want, spin up something in AWS, spin up a VPC, put some servers in there, and then you can connect. And AWS do a pretty good job where they will effectively give you a config to cut and paste onto your VPN device down here. So it's bring your own internet circuit, bring your own device here, and all you're doing is creating a VPN all the way across the internet, securely padlocked, to your estate up there. And all that's doing is using it as an extension of your data center. So that is a quick and easy way, because at the end of the day, you'll probably have a finite resource pool in your data center for servers. You may need to spin up another 1,000 VPNs. If you do it on software, you might not have that tin in your data center, but Amazon, you know what? They've got enough tin. They can scale up as you see fit, or Microsoft. It's a way of leveraging that and augmenting extending your estate out to there. That's just one method. There is another method that Danny mentioned, and we'll stick with AWS at this point, is that instead of it running across the internet where there's no real SLA, you need hardware here, you need to use your own internet circuits and on hardware here, is that method number 2 is private high bandwidth circuits directly into AWS or Azure. AWS call it Direct Connect or DX. Microsoft call it Express Route or YAR. And what you'll find here is it's a dedicated circuit. You probably need diversity from your data center into a local POP that enables, again, you're augmenting your existing estate out into the platform there. Downsides of this is that it takes a fair bit of time depending on where your data centers are. And it's not the cheapest, as in, I'll give it 3 on there. And you're normally tied in for at least sort of 12 months to have that connectivity there. Now, moving forward, a few years ago, you would have probably put all eggs in one basket. You would have been sold the Kool-Aid by AWS and gone, right, my cloud provider, AWS, away we go. If you were a dev house, or you've gone 365, I might as well go Azure. I've had the Microsoft Kool-Aid, I'm in with them. What we're finding now is that people have actually gone back and gone, actually, I can take the best of breed that AWS do, development platforms, and the best of breed of what Microsoft do. At the end of the day, they've got end-use compute tied up, and as Scott said, the tooling is there. Is that a lot of people want connections to more than one cloud provider to get the best of breed for their enterprise. Doing it this method means that you need to have circuits into Microsoft and into AWS. And again, it takes time, it gets a little bit costly. It moves away the pressure across the internet, but it's a private connection that it augments your estate. Number 3 is there are other people apart from Cloud Gateway that does this. Is effectively where we come along is we have, so you've got a WAN there with hundreds of sites on there, you've got a data center. We can very quickly do a direct cross connect into our fabric. But then what it means is you can connect to AWS in 5 minutes. You can connect to Microsoft in 5 minutes. You want to connect your entity to Alibaba, maybe out in the Far East region. Again, 5 minutes. Alibaba, and we've got all the security that goes between this. What we did a lot for when COVID started, we are connected to the HSCN, which is the Health and Social Care Network, which meant that we can connect instantly to all of these networks. And it just meant that from a cross connect, we do it once, and then we connect to the rest of your estate with the big security wrapper. So those are the sort of 3 main mechanisms of how to connect and future-proof your estate to move to cloud. In an emergency, when it all goes pear-shaped and you've not dipped your toe and you want to see what the capabilities of cloud are, VPN might do. If you take it seriously and you're in bed with one provider and you can't see yourself going anywhere else, you might have to take a while and it might cost a bit. But you can go with the provider, so Express Route from Microsoft, Direct Connect. I think it's fast connecting to Oracle or Google. But there's all of these providers will provide a mechanism to do that. And lastly, there's people like ourselves with Cloud Gateway where we've got the on-net access and provision to be able to do that instantly. So you've got 3 main ways to augment your estate and connect to start utilizing the tools out in these providers. Now, part 2 is, great, I've got connectivity. What are the things that we can do if COVID happens again, or simply we know that the new ways of working is working from home, remotely, not necessarily on your own site. And what we found is when COVID really kicked in, is that we were helping the NHS with VMware Horizon and Microsoft and Amazon, is getting people to work from home, but didn't necessarily have a laptop deployed to them. So it follows on from some of the stuff that Danny says, but this is some of the mechanisms that you can do. So that's how to connect to cloud. Let's see what we can do in the cloud from a remote workforce perspective. Right, So what we've done, we've got your estate. You've had the Cloud Gateway Kool-Aid, and you've decided to take a big contract out with us for all the security and connectivity. You're an NHS provider, and what we've done, we've gone, let's go Microsoft this time. So we've gone in Azure. We've connected you to Azure, we've connected your HSCN, and we've connected you on net with a data center cross connect because you're in Equinix campus somewhere. The things that we were doing, and it's mainly around it, the problem the statement is we want people to work from home, we don't want people to clog our network, we don't have the licenses, we don't want to swamp the network, and we don't have the hardware, and it'll take ages to spin up. So what we did is start to take a look at what we can do within the cloud, and it's based on what Danny mentioned, is that if you've got a VPN, you've typically got a device that is corporately owned. Now, what happened in COVID, we're trying to get, I think that the number was, we were responsible for trying to get 90,000 people to work from home. Some of the old laptops weren't good enough. They didn't have the VPN clients. And one particular trust said, is it all right if we just get people's laptops from the loft? And these are the people that we were just like, probably best not dust off your old Acer laptop with Windows 98 on it. And if you want to access patient data, probably give that one a miss. So what we did, we came up with a solution, is effectively Microsoft and Azure and AWS spin up these VPNs, these VDI sessions. I'm not a server guy whatsoever, and I read the manual. I did this, and I am complete muck when it comes to anything Azure. Is that the benefit of this is this augments business continuity and extends this. Is if you want, you can spin up one machine, and you know what? It costs you one unit. Instantly, if you've got 10,000 users working from home, you can go, right, I want 10K, you know what? And you're going to pay for 10K. And when you don't need it, you ramp down to that 100 users. You're paying for what you use. You could never spin up unless you've got a massive data center where probably your CFO didn't realize how much you're wasting to spin up 10,000 VDI sessions. The reason why VDI is such a good idea from an audit and from a security perspective is that if they really wanted to dig out your Windows 98 junk from the loft, with a VDI session, it depends if you want to go in the marketing spiel or not, zero trust network access. Effectively, this is one long HDMI cable that goes from a laptop. There's a complete separation of everything, and all you're doing is you're controlling the access on there. And what we were doing in the back end is that because that is within the cloud, and as Scott mentioned previously, that is fully audited, that pulls back into all the SIEM services, the auditing, the login, and fully controlled, that you've got full control of that as you would down here. And all the access was going to HSCN, and because it was going through Cloud Gateway, we were doing the full DLP, we could see URL filtering, we were doing layer 4 firewall, or we could do TLS intercept. But what it meant is that this future-proofing is scaling up and down. You're paying for what you use. It's fully auditable. You've got a full protocol break, which means that you could have an iPad. You could have a tablet on a phone. You could have a Mac. You could have Linux. You could have everything. And it truly is what I consider bring your own device, and it is bring your own trash. I wouldn't recommend it for long term, but it meant in those emergency scenarios, you really can give people the access to use it, because a lot of people have got iPads and tablets. That was a mechanism that we sort of saw. Scalability, pretty much instant, and you're not putting any pressure on your existing estate. So that's VDI, or desktop as a service, whatever the marketing spiel is on that. We've done something very, very similar, but on the RAS. What we mentioned previously is this organization. So Danny was down here. It was connecting to HSCN, and we've gone AWS. We didn't want to saturate his internet pipes. His routers here didn't have the licensing, and they were going to set fire because they were getting so hot. So all we're doing again, augmenting the tools and the networking and security stuff that you've got within the public cloud providers, that you can click buttons to take all that services away, and it's augmenting. We did it with RAS. We didn't take the native solution. Our solution is, if you want, OpenVPN. So what it meant is I'm using the internet circuits that AWS provide. It's taking it away from there. Yes, you're going to pay a little premium, and sometimes it's not a little premium, but they've got bigger infrastructure than probably most estates. And all we did again is create an open VPN farm. And again, you can have 5 users up to 10,000 concurrent. The way that we did it is such a way that typically with, say, Zscaler or Cisco is if you've got 10,000 potential users, you've got to pay 10,000 licenses. We don't like that. We like it. You have 10,000 users out there that are capable, but you know what? If only 100 people are ever going to connect at any one point, you know what? We'll charge you for 100. We don't see the reason why you should be penalised just for the sake of you potentially might use it. One good thing about this, you can click on the marketplace, gives you a lot more control. Again, 5 to 1,000 users. Another benefit of that is that it can link in with Active Directory. It can link in with, we've got special unified threat management in the middle that if Danny logs in, he can go to everything. But if Jim Bob logs in, he's got a certain group, he can't do anything else. So it's sort of a more unified intent-based security profile. And again, you've got all the visibility that AWS provide. They provide some of the best tools as well as Microsoft. Full auditability, again, pay for what you use. And you've got some of the tools like the auto scaling. At night, you might find if that's running at 5% CPU, you might be only paying for 1 box as opposed to 20 boxes. You can save money that way. And it's that scalability. And what we're finding is as more and more people go to multi-cloud, so we've got AWS, we might have Azure, we might have HSCN, you might be connected to the public services network or the police network for that sort of stuff, is that they're migrating all of these tools when their legacy assets are all sweat and you've got the best out of them, moving it to cloud, and you've got all the tools there. One of the last ones is a bit more controversial. It needs a little bit more thinking about, but it's the way things are going in general between collaborations. So again, down here, on-prem down here, a very large insurance company that connecting to various other Ministry of Justice, the Home Office, Motor Insurance Bureau, is that they wanted to spin up their entire platform in AWS. But what was happening is they wanted all their workers to work from home, and they just basically wanted to expose an application. And most applications nowadays are done over web. So instead of paying for the expense of VPNs or VDIs, what they had, the problem statement is they've got people out here scattered all around the world and third parties that wanted to access that securely. But at the end of the day, it didn't make sense to do VDIs. And sometimes it wasn't user consumers, it was server consumers pulling APIs as we know. And we know that everything is going to go to a wrapper within HTTPS. So an alternative method, and this is where AWS are very good, we've built our own, Azure are good, but all will work up to a certain extent, is basically web application firewall presentation of your application. So what that's doing is effectively allowing you to publish that internet application only. You're not accessing the whole server, you're just accessing the HTTP or the API endpoint to the rest of the world. But what it's doing the certificate inspection, decryption. It gets to go for the full firewall, so you can do full unified threat management to make sure that nobody out in Russia is trying to manipulate anything across there. You can do GeoIP blocking, which we've done a lot for the NHS, as in, why is somebody from the Ukraine trying to access spine and things like that? It's a UK stuff, so you've got GeoIP blocking. But what it does is a very quick and effective way to publish your applications out to the internet very, very securely. And again, as we move more from an on-prem to a cloud base, and if you're a consumer that publishes applications where people come into your data centers, we're going to see more and more of this WAF technology being used. As I said, we've built our own, AWS, Azure, they've all got it to some extent. And it's a way to help people remove their legacy data centers, move stuff to the cloud to take the advantages of the cloud, but publish applications both internally and our consumers, because everybody, you'll hear it all the time, it's cloud first agenda, internet first agenda. And that's where we came from a network and security perspective, is enabling businesses to be able to move in any position, move back and forth while having a unique platform that was quick plug and play to be able to do. So lastly, WAF is the alternative mechanism to do that. All of these three things has been mentioned before. The technologies have been around for ages, but with COVID and working from home, necessity has been sort of the mother of invention with this. We've cobbled stuff together, and it's amazing how quickly governance and red tape and audit gets thrown out the window if you need to do it quickly. And these technologies we've had around for ages, they're just used in a very different way. And because cloud has enabled that, you can get your credit card out and spin stuff up very quickly with a full audit wrap around it to keep all your compliance and your governance, as well still maintaining your on-prem estate. So that's me done. How to extend into cloud, 3 cloud connection methods, and once you're in the cloud, some of the cool stuff that you can do to enable a remote workforce.